Dear Board of Directors, CEOs, and industry, yes, all of industry should get this. In today's ever-growing marketplace, expansion and progress must certainly be on your mind. It is on ours too, because we look forward to grow with you. We are able to get as much financing as your corporate projects need and to see to their successful completion in the best possible timing. How?
It's a new day.
Well, we are responsible. We do business the right way, with regard for sound financial, social, and ethical practices. We are effective, knowledgeable, and even more so with each new experience wielding expertise built from decades of facilitating the financing of the grandest of projects with exceptional dedication. We are decisive, not just because we take good decisions, but because we make sound decisions based on risk, local market knowledge, opportunity, and timing. In fact, there are several projects we have facilitated in the energy, real estate.
A very good morning to you and to everyone else who has joined us here in this 7th edition of our CalBank webinar series. We're coming to you live from the CalBank head office here at number 23 Independence Avenue, and we're coming to you via Zoom, Facebook, and Twitter. We're excited to be back here again to have another conversation with you to help our businesses and to move forward together. In the last conversation, if we remember, for those of us who joined us and for those who watched the video subsequently, we had a conversation here on cybersecurity and personal security, and we talked about the need to pay attention to that aspect of our business so that our gains are not whittled away by fraudsters and by people who work against us. Today we want to go into another equally exciting and important conversation, again to help our businesses, because we don't only want to be dealing with you on the functional areas, but we want to be able to help you so that in total and all round your businesses become better and you become better. Today we'll be looking at the important conversation on retirement planning. This affects almost everyone, especially if you are within the paid work environment. And so if you own your own business or if you're working for someone, you're earning a salary, this conversation will also affect you somewhat. Retirement planning. It's one of those conversations that we spend a lot more time talking about than actually doing something about it. And so sometimes you find that people say, I want to do this for my retirement. I want to do that for my retirement. I'm putting this money away. But we wake up one morning and the word is suddenly, but it never really happens suddenly, does it? Suddenly you find that you've got a few more years, to go home, and then you're panicking, and then you haven't put things in place, and then it becomes very worrisome, and then your whole mood and your life changes. Today, we want to share some thoughts with you, some conversations with you, and offer you some direction from here from CalBank as well, so that you can also build and plan towards your retirement. We're going to be having this conversation with someone I refer to as the best brain in the industry. We always bring you the best. They're going to be sharing some numbers with us and some positions and formula and ways in which we can sort of plan for our retirement. I'll mention her name shortly. She is an executive business manager at CalAsset here at CalBank, and she's worked for over 14 years with over 14 years worth of investment experience under her belt, if I can put it that way. She's very well educated, also has an MBA from the Australian Institute of Business, and a very astute individual as well. She holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Ghana and also holds a securities industry certificate from the Ghana Stock Exchange. My guest for today's conversation is Mrs. Anita Nadia Attah. Anita, you're welcome to the conversation.
Thank you, Yaw. Good morning.
I'm excited because I remember we'll be having this conversation all week. And even before, a few minutes before we came on air, I'm excited because it's a very important part of our work process. People spend all their time working. Even for those who are in paid employment, you spend more than 65% of your day, 75, 80% of your day in your places of employment.
Exactly.
But if we spend half that amount of time planning for our future, which we talk about a lot more than we actually do, I suppose we'd be in a better place than we normally find ourselves. And the thing is that we see examples around us. Our parents have gone ahead of us, our uncles have gone ahead of us, and they have somewhat managed to do a bit of what we're talking about today.
That's right.
But the examples alone should be enough to sort of spur us on to do just some few introductory comments before we get into the details, because I know you have a lot of information for us, but just to introduce the conversation, what are your initial thoughts on the entire conversation on retirement planning? Why is it so important?
Okay, so I think that the discussion on retirement is not rehashed enough. I think that over the period, we've just gotten really comfortable thinking that retirement is far away. Retirement is not up yet. Oh, I have a little more time.
Tomorrow never comes.
Tomorrow never comes. That's a problem. And so before you realize, you just have maybe a decade or a little after, beyond that to go on retirement. And then you begin to feel the pressure. Yes, you want to feel the pressure of, okay, I haven't prepared enough. What do I do? And then everybody just goes into panic mode. It's important that this conversation can be had more often so that people are more aware. People can gather the requisite information that they need to be able to prepare so that by the time you're retiring, you're just moving on seamlessly into a comfortable lifestyle, which would not or should not be very different from what you're already used to.
And I think this is also, Anita, that you see how long it takes for us to see yield in our businesses. It takes a bit of time. Investment is not like boiling water. It's not like frying an egg. It's not 15 minutes. So you're going to require that time, and you have it until, unless of course you don't realize that you have it, and then you begin to waste it until you get to that point.
Yeah.
I'm excited because I know you're going to be sharing some thoughts with us, but for those of us who have joined us, at some point we're going to get interactive and we'll share information on how you can ask your questions and also join us. But just a few event protocols for us to observe. If you're joining us, by all means, please do mute your microphones just so we don't have a bit of feedback as well. When we do get interactive, we will also open the line so that you can put your thoughts and your questions in a chat box on Zoom, on Twitter, on Facebook, and our production crew will pick it up and make sure that we ask your questions. We'd also like to know if you've joined us, so just say a hi in the chat box through whichever platform that you've joined us on, so we know you're here. We would like to mention that you're here with us, and then if you're watching us, by all means, to pick up that phone, call a friend, to call a friend, to call a friend. CalBank is coming into your homes, into your offices, into your spaces, into your cars this morning to share some thoughts with you about retirement planning. All that hard work you're doing, it must pay off at some point. It must pay off at some point. For participants who are also on Facebook, when you send all of your questions, we'd like for you to prefix them with a hashtag CalBank webinar. Hashtag CalBank webinar. We want you to prefix all your questions with that. In terms of focus, for those of us who like to take notes, we will be looking at these four main areas in this conversation, for those of us who like to take notes. At some point also on the slides and on the various platforms, we will be sharing some of the slides for this presentation. Therefore, you can follow the conversation, make notes, write them down if you want to, and then you can always refer to them again. Suffice it to say that the information will still be available on our various platforms after this show and after the conversation, and you can always go back to it and refer to it. We will be looking at the areas, the following areas: pitfalls in retirement planning. What are the pitfalls in retirement planning? You can make a note of that. We'll be looking at how to fund your retirement needs. How to fund your retirement needs. We'll also be looking at how CalAsset Management can help you in that process to fund your retirement needs or to plan for your retirement. And that's why we're here. CalAsset Management, that's why they're here. They're going to help you and hold your hand through that process. We'll also be looking at some retirement planning targets. Obviously, for everything that we do, for every planning process, it's important to have milestones, so that as you move along, you're able to say, yes, I've done the first 1 year, I've done the first 2 years, I was meant to achieve, let's say, 10,000 Ghana cedis. I did 8,000, it's not too bad, I'm still getting there. And then you sort of prop yourself up as you go along. So these are the four main areas that we'll be having our conversations here on. And like I said, Anita is going to be taking us away and sharing some beautiful thoughts and numbers and statistics with us. So do stay with us, don't tune off. Call a friend to call a friend. Join this conversation. We're coming to you live via Zoom, via Twitter, and via Facebook. Anita, I'm excited to start the conversation. Right. So let's go straight into it. Retirement planning. It's all very daunting. It's all very frightening. It causes people to panic and all of that. But you've assured us that once we do it right, there's nothing to worry about. Once we plan properly, there's nothing to worry about. And I did say something in the beginning that it's with focus on those in the paid environment. But I dare say that you'll prove me wrong in this conversation. It's for everyone, isn't it?
It's for everyone.
Really, it's for everyone.
It is
Talk
for
to
everyone.
us, Anita.
Right, okay. So before I start my presentation, I want you to consider this for a minute. So you've walked into your office or into your business this morning, and it's your last day of work. You're going on retirement. So you're saying goodbye to your friends and your colleagues, because from tomorrow, you will be home. You will have a new life. You're waking up to a new milestone in your life. So hold that thought for a minute. You're officially retiring today. So what kind of retirement are you envisioning? Are you envisioning that kind of retirement where you want to live comfortably, you want to have good health, you want to have enough to live on? What type of retirement are you envisioning? And are you ready? Retirement usually is when you're required to stop working by the mandatory 60 years, or you decide that you want to quit formal employment and engage in other activities. And so once you hit 60, you are required to take your mandatory retirement, and then you are supposed to leave formal employment. Now, I'd like to share with you research that was conducted by Paul Andor of the University of Queensland on Ghana's retirement system. And he interviewed 330 retirees, and 72 of the respondents that he spoke with had no savings or investments after their working life. Another 90% of that same group had 2 or more financially dependent people. 57% of these retirees depended on SNIT annuity or SNIT payments only, and so they didn't have any other sources of income. And then 54.5% did not own any homes. They didn't have their own or personal places of residence. Now, there are some pitfalls that lead us into these situations when we retire, and which we need to pay attention and guard against. Now, some of these pitfalls are that usually people start late. So you're starting late because when you start your career, you think you have time on your side. You think that the discussion bordering on retirement is not for you because you've just started working. You are very wrong, because retirement planning should start the moment you begin a career. It should start when you earn your first salary. It is at that point that you begin your retirement planning. Now, there's also the issue of using your children as a retirement plan. So there have been times where parents have said, oh, I'm older now, and so my children will take care of me. There's this popular Akan proverb that says, "Mashawa mawusi fifi, inte wasa osheme ma misi tutu," which is very typical in our environment. Now,
this is the children don't wait to take care of you.
I know. The feeling of reciprocity is high in our industry or on our side of the world, because parents think that they have raised you, they've committed funds to bringing you up, and so when you are older and they are aged, you should be able to support them financially. And that is not good for you, because then it means that if you're working, you're putting pressure on yourself, having to take care of your immediate family, and then having to take care of parents as well. And then investing too conservatively when you're young. Now, many times when you're young, we advise that you should be able to take on a certain level of risk or assume more risk than you originally would. Now, the idea is that because you're young, you can make mistakes, you can recover, and then you can have enough time to build a good retirement package by the time you are going on retirement. Now, putting too little away as well is a serious problem that a lot of employees do not pay attention to. So I'd like to give a quick example. If you're in a company where you're earning, let's say, 5,000 cedis, which as your basic, and then you have an allowance that is about 10,000, which is double your basic pay. The problem is that your SNIT deduction is on your basic pay. So the SNIT contribution that you make on a monthly basis will be on the 5,000 and not on the entire 15,000. So it behoves on you as an individual to commit a portion of your allowances that you earn on a monthly basis into an investment to augment your retirement benefits when you leave active employment. And so don't get carried away when you think you are earning a good salary, because your SNIT deduction may not necessarily be on the entire amount. Now, investing in a primary residence too late in your life, or just a few years before you go on retirement. Now, many times people like to say, oh, I'm saving. And then before you realize it, retirement is staring at you in the face and you don't have a primary place of residence. We advise that during your working life, you plan to put up a building or a place of residence ahead of retirement, so that when you retire, you're not looking at using your retirement benefits, for example, to fund a project, or you're not looking at using your money to start a project which you may not be able to complete because you don't have regular income coming in at that point in your life. So how are we going to avert these pitfalls that I've spoken about? You need to start early. It's important, like I said earlier, that once you start a career, you put plans in place to invest portions of your salary beyond what your SNIT deduction is. Don't say that because you're contributing to SNIT, that's enough to take care of you when you go on retirement. You need a backup plan. You also need to, like I said earlier, plan a place of residence, and you need to have an estate plan. Many times when we mention to clients that you need to plan for life beyond you, you need to make sure that when you're not here tomorrow, your family doesn't have to deal with issues of you having to die interstate. And so you need to prepare a will. A lot of people don't like to hear that, because when you talk about wills, then people begin to feel like, I'm going to die. But there's a set time for everybody to die. Having a will doesn't mean that you're going to die tomorrow. And so it's important that you have a will.
I think you should repeat that, because
yes,
a lot of the people I have spoken to, about putting their will together, young people, they go like, yeah, what are you talking about? And then they don't talk to me for 2 weeks because I spoke to them about putting their will together.
Yes. No, so having a will is a necessity. It is your reality. Like I said earlier, there's a set time for you to die. Having a will doesn't bring that date forward. You still will be able to live for as long as God has put for you to live. And so it's important that you save your family the trouble of having to deal with all the excesses that come with dying interstate.
You have used the word excesses, but in conversation recently, I've spoken to a few people about retirement planning, and I've said to them, and they've been very vocal about it, they said, Yaw, when there's a death and there is money, you cry differently.
I know, right? Yes.
When there is no money, you cry differently.
That's very true.
It's absolutely important to plan.
Yes, it is key in any working person's life. Make time to speak to a lawyer and put a will together. It is important. Have stated beneficiaries for your investments, for example. We've had people who had investments and didn't say, okay, in the event that I'm not here, give this percentage of my investment to that person. Sometimes people start working and they don't have stated beneficiaries, and so they put siblings or parents or something. And then they begin to start a family and they forget to go and update that schedule or that list of beneficiaries. And so you find out that later in life, when they are not there, their immediate family is left out.
So let's speak directly to our business people and our listeners who are talking to us right now. What should they do about their stated beneficiaries? Let's talk to them right now.
Okay, so first of all, you need, for any investment that you have, to have a list of stated beneficiaries that should have access to that investment in the event that you are not there, in the event that you die. And so you want to say that when I leave, I have a spouse who should get 30% of what I've put away. I have 2 children who should share the remainder of the money, 35%. Or I want everything to go to my children. You need to be able to state that explicitly in any investment that you have in place. And then, by all means, please prepare a will.
It's absolutely important that, and the thing about the beneficiaries also is that it shouldn't be a one-time thing and that's the end, because your circumstances change from time to time. So you can give yourself every year, go back and review it. For most people that I've spoken to, their SNIT benefits, they haven't gone back to it since they started. And it's important because sometimes the beneficiaries you have stated have also passed on. What's going to happen? The state will determine who gets what. And that's not what you want to happen in your absence. So I think we're speaking directly to our listenership here.
That's right. Yeah. And so moving on, You also need to plan in such a way that as you grow older, your investment portfolio tilts towards having more liquid investments that you can easily convert into cash as and when you have need for money. Now, going on to talk about the retirement process or the retirement planning process, you first of all need to examine your current financial position. So how much are you earning on a monthly basis? How much of that money is going into investments? Are you able to do it? Are you doing it consistently? So that's a question you will need to answer. Remember, officially you are retiring today. So in your working life, have you put money away on a monthly basis? How much did you put away? Where did you invest it? Are you able to get that money back in the event that you will have need for it? You need to set goals as well. So what are you hoping to achieve throughout your career? Are you looking at putting up a building and having it ready by the time you're 35 or by the time you're 40? You need to set goals. When you go on retirement, how much money are you hoping to earn from your pension on a monthly basis? How much are you spending at the moment? Are you able to support that lifestyle when you go on retirement and live comfortably? Now, that's something you need to look at. You need to gather information. Yeah, unfortunately, when it comes to gathering information on retirement, there's not much that people can glean from. And because it's also a discussion that people are not too excited to have, they don't go out of their way to look for the information. So it's important that we have sessions like these more often, because then you put the information out there and you assist people who want to gather the relevant information in order to prepare for a good and comfortable retirement. Now at CalAsset Management, we are licensed fund managers by the Securities and Exchange Commission. We're registered with the National Pensions Regulatory Authority as pension fund managers. So CalAsset Management is a good place to start. If you want any information on how to prepare for your retirement or how to plan a retirement so that between now and when you retire, you have enough to live on comfortably, please speak to CalAsset Management today. We'll listen to what you have, what your goals are, what you're hoping to achieve by the time you finish your working life, and we'll advise you accordingly.
And just to sort of rehash the point that you just made, I've always said that you can't be an expert in everything. So obviously you're great at running your business. You're great in your industry. But there's someone who's also been trained to help you plan for your future. I hear people say, I mean, there's no skill. It's not rocket science to plan. Really, if it's not, why have so many people made the same mistake over and over again? And you know, I used to work with a superior who always used to say, yeah, when you don't understand something, when you don't know what to do, shout. Raise your hand and say, I need help. And so if you need help, what we're saying here to you today is that CalAsset Management is able to help you, hold your hand through the process, give you the step-by-step information, and help you plan. And even take responsibility for that process for you. Here we are talking about stated beneficiaries and you haven't gone back to renew. CalAsset Management can handle all of that for you. Today life is more convenient. Everything is fast. So here is an offer for you for fast investment.
Right.
Keep talking to us.
Okay. So I'll also like to mention that when you put a plan together, right, you shouldn't leave it as it is. You need to go back to that plan and review it from time to time so that you can adjust depending on the prevailing conditions and then make sure that you are still in tune to achieve your set retirement goals. When it comes to what to consider in terms of your retirement planning, there are a number of things. So when you retire, what are your retirement needs? So they are basic health care, food and drinks, transportation, primary residence. So like I mentioned earlier, if by the time you are retiring, you are able to put up your primary place of residence, that is already taken care of. Now, the other issues like health care is the reason why you need to put some more money away today. A lot of people who are in active employment, especially within the private sector, have access to free health care. So you may be on one health insurance or another, depending on where you work. Now, if you're not paying health insurance, if you're not paying for your medical expenses, and you're not paying for your transportation because you're getting fuel, for example, you will need to put extra money away because you are earning those benefits now. When you go on retirement, you won't have that health insurance anymore. You probably have to pay cash for your health care. You would have to buy fuel. There are some people I speak with, there are some clients I speak with who don't know what the cost of fuel is per liter or per gallon because they get regular fuel allocations and so they're not able to tell. When we forget that post-retirement or post-working life, you will have to begin to buy those things yourself. Then you will be able to invest more because then you know those perks are not available anymore.
You know, I'm smiling so broadly because it's very, what you're saying is so synonymous to borrowing someone's car and getting to the fuel station and then they say, yes, open the tank, and you don't know where to open it from.
I know, right? Yes.
It's exactly the same thing.
Just put very
about.
aptly, yes.
You sort of live well, so you forget. You go into a state of forgetfulness. You're in a state of rest. And then you suddenly wake up one morning and you're in retirement and you don't know where the fuel station is to start with. You get there and you don't know how much it costs. And then you don't even know how to open your fuel tank.
Yes, yes.
So it's important to plan.
I'll tell you a joke.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a client of mine that retired not too long ago, and he retired with another colleague of his who used to live around Ridge because he was, he had been allocated a place of residence and everything. And then he moved on and lived in his own home. And one day he called the company. He said, "Oh, I've run out of, the lights is off. The lights have been put off. Can you call ECG and find out what's going on?" So they sent somebody to the man's home, and they found out that his prepaid electricity was actually finished. He didn't know that.
I'm sure because he didn't even know that it finishes.
Exactly. And so when you live in that state of oblivion, when the reality hits you and you are not prepared, then we have a problem. And so it's important that if you're enjoying some benefits now, it's time to push that extra cash you're not spending away, and it will go a long way.
Yeah.
And then there's also the issue of how much time you have before you retire. If you have a longer time to retire, then it means that you have a longer time to invest. So if you're starting a career at 23 or at 25, you have between 35 to 37 years to prepare for retirement. It means that for every cedi you put away today, you have the power of compounding interest working for you. And so you are able to make some good money when you retire. So on the sources of retirement income, so when you retire, where are you hoping to get some money from to live on? So there's the mandatory tier 1, which is the SNIT monthly pension that you will receive when you retire. And then there's a privately managed tier 2 funds. And so if you are working and you are contributing 5% to any tier 2 scheme, that money will be paid to you as lump sum when you retire. And then if you have a company where they have personal savings or a staff provident fund or a welfare scheme in place, that will also give you some money when you go on retirement. And then of course, when you have some personal investments that you've made for yourself, you can earn from that as well. You also need to find ways of making money. So are you going to be monetizing your talents? Are you going to be exploring what skills you have available that can enable you to earn a little more when you retire?
When you talked about skills, something just occurred to me. Sometimes we're so stuck in the functional thing we're doing that we forget the skill we have, because now suddenly when you retire, all of that becomes important.
Exactly.
Hold that thought for me for a minute. I think it's getting exciting. If you just joined us, this is the CalBank webinar series, 7th in the series, and we're coming to you live from the CalBank head office here at Ridge, and we're talking about retirement planning. We want to take a quick break. When we come back, we continue the conversation. If you have any questions, any comments, by all means, do put them in the chat boxes on Zoom, on Twitter, on Facebook. If you're joining us on Facebook, please prefix your questions or your comments with CalBank webinar, hashtag CalBank webinar. We'll take a quick break right now. When we come back, we continue.
Dear Board of Directors, CEOs, and industry, yes, all of industry should get this. In today's ever-growing marketplace, expansion and progress must certainly be on your mind. It is on ours too, because we look forward to grow with you. We are able to get as much financing as your corporate projects need and to see to their successful completion in the best possible timing. How?
It's a new day.
Well, we are responsible. We do business the right way with regard for sound financial, social, and ethical practices.
You never imagined.
We are effective, knowledgeable, and even more so with each new experience wielding expertise built from decades of facilitating the financing of the grandest of projects with exceptional dedication. We are decisive, not just because we take good decisions, but because we make sound decisions based on risk, local market knowledge, opportunity, and timing. In fact, there are several projects we have facilitated in the energy, real estate, education, power, and manufacturing sectors, to be modest. Surely your project is next. Contact us today so that we can move forward together. It is possible. Best regards, CalBank.
Forward together.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, this is the CalBank webinar series and we're having a conversation on retirement planning. Some very wonderful information being shared right here by Anita. We continue with this conversation. By all means, if you're taking notes, do take notes and put your questions down so that when we get interactive, you do send your questions and we can respond to them as well. If you're watching us, please pick up the phone, call someone to call someone else to call someone else so that they can be a part of this conversation. We're coming to you to talk to you about planning your retirement. You know, there's this parlance in our Kan language that says that a state of good living causes forgetfulness. A state of good living causes forgetfulness. Let's not get into that trap. Let's not get into that cycle where momentarily we're caught in oblivion and then suddenly we wake up one morning and we're retiring tomorrow and it becomes an issue and we're panicking and all of that. Let's take a bit of time to plan. How much are you earning now? Begin to put away. If you're earning 4,000, 5,000, 3,000, begin to put away 1,000 right now, 2,000. Put it away. It's not part of your earning. It's not part of what you're spending. Very soon, you'll find that it becomes, like little drops, a very mighty ocean. So, Anita, you were talking to us about sources of income during our retirement.
Yes.
And suddenly, everything becomes important because we're looking at the skill that you have. Suddenly, if you were not a public speaker, you find people looking for public speaking appointments.
That's right.
You find people trying to do consultancies. Everybody becomes a consultant when they go on retirement. But you never even practiced it while you were working.
That's the problem. So many times I tell people, if you have any form of talent, begin to explore that talent today. Don't wait until you're looking at retirement in the face or staring at you in the face, and then you begin to ask yourself, what can I do? What can you do today? Begin to ask yourself those questions. If you like to meet people, you like to talk a lot, you like to read, you like to build something, begin to explore those talents.
You like to do voiceovers.
So that exactly, if you have a good voice, absolutely, then you can do voiceovers and all of that. We need to be able to prepare because it's not enough to just have one single, a single income stream. You need multiple streams so that in the event that one is not available, you can depend on the other. Imagine, I work with different sectors of employees. Now, in some of the sectors, risk is so high, or when it comes to injury and stuff like those, it's so high. So sometimes you go to work and the next morning you are medically unfit to work because you've had a life-threatening injury, for example. If that happens to you, what would you do? Are you ready to live the rest of your life on your investments? If you don't have investments, the time to start is now. We put together a slide on what it would look like if you started investing early. And so you want to say, okay, I'm earning 10,000. I want to be able to put 2,000 away on a monthly basis. What are we looking at? So this is just a proposed investment that if, assuming you are 40, you have 20 years to retirement. Assuming a very conservative rate of 15% over the next 20 years, that will mean that you'll be contributing 240 months. At 2,000 cedis every month for 20 years, you're looking at making something about 3 million, plus or minus, by the time you're retiring. Now, that's not
this
shabby.
How many years? 20 years?
20 years. That's not shabby, Yaw. So it means that...
You have 3 million reasons to wake up every
I
morning.
I know. And so it's good if you can increase that amount. Maybe because you didn't start early enough. And so you should be able to do more than 2,000.
You know, suddenly, I can't help this one. Suddenly, I can tell my listeners counting the number of years
Yes,
they have left.
that's key, because how many years you have left plays a key role in, first of all, how much you should put away on a monthly basis.
Let's go back to that sheet again. And
Okay.
let's take our time, because people need to understand the value of it. And I think that people have, you see, we have windfalls. It's not only your salary. Money comes in. So put one pot in the middle of the room. Everything that comes in, put it in that pot.
Exactly.
Those are your inflows for the month.
Yes.
And clearly, surely you could be able to put away a decent sum.
By the time you're retiring, you're on your way to becoming a millionaire.
Exactly.
And many times people like quick fixes. But I tell them, with retirement, there are no miracles. It's what you start with that you will end with. No manna will fall for you when you go on retirement and you haven't planned. And that's just the reality. We've also worked with people who had good lives, and then they retired, and suddenly after 3 years, you see them and you can't recognize them. You can't recognize them because maybe they took their retirement plan and went and started a new business, for example, which didn't do well, or they went and squandered it. And so you realize that at 60, by the time you're 63, your retirement benefit, your lump sum is totally gone. Or you've probably finished your retirement payments. Now then the reciprocity thing comes in. Then they begin to burden their children. Why haven't you given me this? Why have you abandoned me? And it's not because your children...
You don't pick my calls.
You don't pick my calls and all of that. But it's because your children also have a life they're living. And it's so key. So how old are you now? How many years do you have to retirement? If you have 10 years, if you have 8 years, if you have 15 years, speak to CalAsset Management today. All hope is not lost. We still have some time to put you on the right track to having a comfortable retirement. Now, we've proposed a few mixes when it comes to an investment portfolio for you when you are in your working life. And so, like I mentioned earlier, when you're younger, we advise that you assume a little more risk. And so at between 25 and 39, for example, we're proposing that you have more of your funds in bonds. You assume a bit more risk, so you play the stock market a bit, with about 30% of your investments in equities or in various stocks. Now, by the time you are between 40 and 49, we're looking at reducing your equity or stock exposure. And so we're going to be doing about 15% of your investments in stocks. By the time you are hitting 50 or 59, we're looking at further reducing that to about 10%. And then by the time you are 60, you want to be able to have at least about 5% of your investments in stocks. Now, the reason why it's important that you reduce your stock investments is because by the time you're retiring, you don't want to take on too much risk. You want to preserve your capital, for example, because that's what you have to live on for the rest of your life. Now, we've had people say, oh, there are retirees who are playing the stock market. And I say to them, yes, there are people playing the stock market, but these people playing the stock market have prepared appropriately, and they are able to have investments way above 5% of their investment income in stocks because they have other sources of income that support their lifestyles. And so in the event that the stock market doesn't do well, they are not worse off. They are still in a good position to enjoy a comfortable retirement. Many times people have asked, okay, I'm going on retirement. What should I do? Should I start a new business? Should I start farming? These days, farming has become very fashionable.
Huge, yeah.
And so you hear people saying, oh, when I retire, I'm going to go into the village. I have some acres of land. I'm going to start a farm. Or some people say, oh, I'm going to start a creche where I take care of children, or I'm going to open a supermarket and buy and sell. Now, I tell retirees or would-be retirees that, yes, it's important that you retire to something. Now, that something you're retiring to is important. We advise that at 60, it's not a good time to start a new business. If you want to do business by the time you're retiring, start early. And so you want to start when you're 40 or you're 45. Build that business during your work life when you're earning an income or you're earning a salary, which can support you as you work on that business. Allow that business to grow. Make your mistakes and learn from them. By the time you're retiring, you would have built enough experience. You would have grown the business to a certain level. And so when you earn your retirement income, then it's a good time to take a portion of that money and put it into the business. Even when you already have a running business, we don't advise that you take all of your retirement benefits and put it in the business. We only advise that you put a portion of your retirement benefits into that business. Now, at the time you're doing that, you've made your mistakes. You've learned from those mistakes. And so you're in a better place to run that business post-retirement. Now, don't also forget that when you are retired, you are not as energetic. You are not as sharp as you used to be. And so the hard work that comes with starting a new business, you are not in a good place to provide. And that's why it's key that you don't start a new business when you retire. Now, in Kenya, the Retirement Benefits Authority did a survey on retirees, and the survey indicated that 22% of retirees that started businesses when they went on retirement failed. And so the companies failed totally. So imagine if you had put all of your retirement benefits into a new business and the business failed, what would you do? What would be your other sources of income once you've burned that one in that new business that didn't succeed? Another 48% of the retirees who started a new business were unprofitable or were unprofitable for many years. Only 13% of retirees that started a business after retirement made profits. And so you want to reconsider. If you want to do farming, there are people who've been doing farming for 30 years, for 25 years, 15 years.
Learn from them.
Learn from them. But if you now want to start at 60, when will you make your mistakes? And so it's important that you don't start the business after you have retired. Start when you're in active employment. Grow it. And then by the time you're retiring, you have something that's already running to go to.
When you talk about that, a few things come to my mind. Apart from working, because we're talking about sustenance, we're talking about people trying to find some kind of provision for themselves when they grow and to be able to live and depend on it. What are some of the things that people can do to while away time? Right.
So a lot of times, like I said earlier, explore your talents. What can you do? There's some people who have gone on retirement and have started reading clubs in their communities. And so if you are an academic, for example, and you've taught for donkey years and you are retired, you want to be able to give back to your community or to your tribe so that they can benefit from your many years of teaching, of imparting knowledge, you can start a reading club. You can do the soft things. You can, for example, start active mentoring. You can decide that you want to be an online instructor, depending on if you, for example, you are an IT expert or a cybersecurity expert. You can begin to give online tuition on how people can be more tech savvy or more security conscious. In our environment these days, yeah, you know how it's become imperative to be so alert, because the moment you let your guards down, something happens.
Exactly.
And then you lose money, or you find yourself in a very compromised situation because you've allowed somebody into your space, which ideally they shouldn't have access to. And so you're able to travel, take care of your grandchildren. Many times I tell my clients that when you retire, it's a good time to enjoy your grandchildren. You want to build memories with them. You want to go on holiday. Let your grandchildren say, oh, this summer we're spending it with grandma and grandpa at this location. And so it's important that we do the soft things. You don't have to work hard when you're on retirement. You're supposed to put your feet up and enjoy. You're supposed to enjoy the fruit of your labor.
But you can only do that when you plan.
When you've planned,
which is what we're talking about.
Which is what we're talking about. So it is key, because if you don't plan, then you wake up in the morning and you're stressed already.
You don't even want to wake up because you don't have to deal with a plethora of issues.
Yes. And so it's so key that you explore your talents, find the soft things you can do. If you don't already have a business you're retiring to, find the soft things that you can do in order to have a comfortable retirement. Don't be in a hurry to start a new business. In fact, before you even begin to explore any of these things, write a book, for example, you want to take some time off to rest, to rejuvenate, to re-energize before you come back into writing a book or doing whatever it is that you're hoping to do when you go on retirement. Retirement is not the time to do hard work. You've done the hard work in your early life. And so make a point to plan so that when you retire, you're virtually chilling. That's what it is. Yes.
You're resting from your travails
from your
and your
exactly. You're resting from all the pressures you've had to deal with as an employee while you were in active employment. So now, how can CalAsset Management be of help? Like I mentioned earlier, we're licensed fund managers. We are registered with the National Pensions Regulatory Authority as pension fund managers. And so we can assist you to actively plan your investments so that by the time you're retiring, you are living comfortably. Now, we have a retirement-oriented private wealth management account, which we assist our clients to start during their working life. And so if you're here or if you're listening to us and you don't know what to do, you don't know where to go when it comes to retirement planning, please feel free to talk to CalAsset Management. Visit our website at www.calassetmanagement.net. Go to our social media handles, leave us a message. On our website, we have contacts there that you can reach us on. Go to our social media handles, leave a message for us. We'll reach out to you, and then we'll help you to plan for a comfortable and blissful retirement. Also, we manage end-of-service benefit schemes. So we work with corporate bodies that provide us with funds that we invest for their employees, and then by the time they're going on retirement, that money is made available to them, or they continue to invest until they have need for money. Now, yeah, I have a number of retiree clients I work with, right? And it's so exciting working with them because these are people we work with while they were in active service and they've transitioned into retirement. Now, the good thing is that during their working life, they had a good plan in place. And so there are some that we pay pensions to on a quarterly basis. So every now and then, at the end of the quarter, when we value their investments and we determine, okay, you've earned so much at the end of the quarter, we usually would give a call and say, okay, this is how much we've earned this quarter. And so we're moving it into your personal account. Sometimes you call them and they're like, oh, the last one you gave me is still there. I haven't finished spending. So you hang on. As and when I need money, I'll come for it.
But now that's a beautiful place to
Yes,
be.
that's an amazing
It's
place
to say,
to be.
hold on, I don't need it just yet. You know.
When I need it, I'll call for it. And that's the place we should all aspire to get to. Get to a place where you don't have to worry about. So I give people an example. When you're renting, right, and your rent is due, and you know that you don't have enough to pay the rent, every time your bell rings, your heart skips a beat.
Exactly.
Because you don't know whether it's your landlord or landlady coming to demand for their rent. Now, there's this comfort, there's this peace of mind you have when you go to bed knowing that when your rent is due, you just need to write a check or do a transfer, and then your rent goes through. Or when your car breaks down and you need to change your car engine, you don't have to worry about, okay, where am I going to get the money from? Because you have an emergency fund that
Which
is
you can-
sitting somewhere that you can just fall
Just turn
on.
to. So it's a peace of mind that you have.
Yes.
Which is
Yes.
something that
it's
we should
so
all-
key. So it's important. A lot of times when you talk about the retirement planning thing, people think that you're being overburdening. Sometimes people want to yawn at you because they think what you're saying is boring, or they want to roll their eyes at you because they think that you're being overbearing. But I sometimes tell them, I'm like, when you retire, you look for me and say thank you, because you've done what needs to be done. And so by the time you are there, you will know that, oh, there's a certain CalAsset Management somewhere that guided me through this process. Now, when you do that, your family knows that they also want to be like you when they retire.
Exactly.
And so there's the spillover. You know that when you plan well, it's likely, very likely, that your children will plan well and your grandchildren will plan well.
And the thing
And
also
so
is, this,
it goes
Anita,
on.
that it's more likely than otherwise that in our working years, where we have strength, we do have a lot more inflows than we think we get. And we're also a lot more wasteful than we actually think we are. So there's so much that goes to waste. And what we're saying is that in this conversation, begin to avert your mind. What's gone, it's gone. Don't worry about that. But begin to avert your mind to trying to save and prevent the waste and put a bit more away. Just so that, like, you know, Anita is saying here, you buy yourself some peace of mind at the end of it all. When it's curtains, you have to go home and you won't wake up and get into the traffic and go to work. You can have the peace of mind. And then when you get a phone call to say, oh, we've earned so much for you, you can say, hold on to it. Don't put it in my personal account yet.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying earlier, at CalAsset Management, we're poised to assist you. We've done this, we have a track record of doing this for many years. And so we have the requisite expertise and systems to assist you to plan for a comfortable retirement. Now, when it comes to investing for retirement, it's so important because many times people are looking for, or people are chasing rates, they're chasing returns. I tell my clients that rates are not the thing to chase after or look for when you are planning your retirement, because you're investing for a long period. You want to be sure that your investments are safe, first of all. And so at CalAsset Management, safety is important for us because we want you to know that, first of all, you're in good hands. When you hear that there's something going on within our industry, you don't shake because you know that your money is in a place where prudent investments are being made on your behalf.
Prudent investments, hold that thought for me. I know we're getting into the final area of our conversation and then we get interactive.
Yes.
But we want to take another quick break, and then when we come back, we prepare to get interactive as we finish, you know, the slides and our presentation, and then our listeners can also join in the conversation. I've seen a few questions already on those platforms. We want to take a quick break right now. When we come back, we continue with this conversation.
They call me Kwame Short. I don't like long things at all. That's why I signed up for the CalBank Snap account as a CalBank agent. It's easy to open and perform transactions just like this. Jack, it's a CalBank Agent Banking is the new biometric banking channel that allows any customer of CalBank to make transactions at their convenience. You can open a CalBank Snap account, make cash deposits and withdrawals, transfer funds, pay your bills, and also buy airtime in 3 easy steps. First, Select your transaction, then provide your details, and finally confirm your transaction with your fingerprint. It's that convenient and secure. Always remember to take your receipt and look out for an SMS after your transaction before walking away. You can find CalBank agents everywhere. Shops, general merchants, pharmacies, mobile money agents, and supermarkets.
CalBank Agent Banking, your neighborhood bank. Forward together. Sometimes you need it early. Sometimes you need it late. Sometimes you need it fast. Sometimes you need it closer. But with CalBank, accessing your funds is always easy. With CalBank Agent Banking, you can easily open your CalBank Snap account, make cash deposits and withdrawals, transfer funds, pay bills, etc. right in your neighborhood at pharmacy, shop, filling station and supermarkets. So, visit your nearest CalBank agent today. Open your CalBank Snap account and enjoy banking on your terms using our CalBank Agent Banking. CalBank Agent Banking, your neighborhood bank. Forward together. CalBank Agent Banking, your neighborhood bank. Forward together.
Joining us via Facebook. If you send your questions or comments, prefix them with hashtag CalBank Webinar. Here's some information for you from the CalAsset Management Company, the company that's going to help you with your retirement planning and help you buy that peace of mind so that when you finally retire from paid employment, you have peace of mind. You don't have to worry about where the next paycheck is coming from. And so they have a product on pension fund management. That's tiers 2 and 3. Pensions fund management. If you need any help in that direction, by all means, get in touch with CalAsset Management. They also have a product for end-of-service benefit scheme. End-of-service benefit schemes. They have staff provident funds management also. They also have customized high net worth individual account management products. They also have a staff welfare scheme product as well. And they have leave savings plan schemes and many more. If you want any further detail or assistance on how to get in touch with them on any of these products, you can give them a call. You can reach out to Anita on 0267 516 024. That you can call out to Anita on 026 751 6024. You can also reach out to Edmond, also in CalAsset Management, on 02675 15160, I beg your pardon, 20. That's 0675 16020. That's Edmond at CalAsset. And then finally, you can reach out to Wellington also at CalAsset on 0272 112 225. Alternatively, you can send them an email to Asset Management. That's ASSET MGT, Asset Management, ASSET MGT at calbank.net, and they'll be happy to help you hold your hand through the process. You haven't heard it until now, but today you've heard it. From today onwards, you don't have an excuse. You have to make your life better and plan for your retirement. Share those final thoughts with us, then we get straight into the questions and get interactive. If you haven't sent your question already, please write them down, send them to us in the chat boxes, and we'll be happy to deal with them. Yes, Anita.
Okay. So, like I mentioned earlier, Yaw, it's important that when you're investing, you're not only putting money away, but you're putting money away with the right fund manager. You're putting money away in a place where your funds will be safe, in a place where when you finally require that the money be paid back to you, it's available and it's paid to you on time. At CalAsset Management, all our investments are underpinned by quality research and quality investment, picking of investment instruments. It's important also that you know where your money is going. And so it's not just okay to say, oh, my money is with X person. What is that person or that institution doing with your money? How much risk are they exposing your pension funds to? It's time to talk to CalAsset Management if you are not already in a relationship with us, and we'll be glad to assist you get to that point where you can retire comfortably. So, like we say, it's important to retire to something. Don't just retire from work, retire to something. Retire to your loved ones. Retire to a business you've already had running for
Retire
some
to less
time.
stress.
Retire to less stress.
Retire to peace of mind.
Retire to peace of mind. Retire to having a good time with your contemporaries, having a good time with your grandchildren. It's important when you have two things. You have much to live for and you have much to live on. And so ask
Say
yourself.
that again, very slowly.
So retirement is blissful when you have two things, much to live for and much to live on. So if you don't have much to live on, before you realize you're a burden to your family. When you call, they won't pick up because they don't want the wahala that you're bringing.
Yeah.
They are not ready to support you because when you had the opportunity to do it, you didn't do it. But I also like to give you hope. There's hope for you to begin to do this now so that by the time you're retiring, you are living a comfortable life. So I'd just like to share just some quick quotes with you. I have a very favorite one that I use a lot of times. And it says, it's by Warren Buffett. It says, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. And that is the reality of it. If you don't make money while you sleep, there's only one way you can make money while you're sleeping. It's when you have an investment. Now, how would you feel if you woke up one morning and as you stretched, you know that, oh, I just made 10,000 cedis overnight on return or on interest.
Because the stock market
moved. Thank you. And so you've made money overnight without lifting a finger. It's important that you plan properly so that you don't have to work all of your life. There's a reason why it's called retirement, so that you can rest. So don't look to retiring and going into active work. I've seen some people retire and before you know it, they're doing work that requires brawn. And at 60, you don't have that energy to be able to do that. And so please, plan, invest. Don't save after you've spent. Many times, just recently, there's a company that we're investing for. Somebody gave me a call and said they had a standing order on their account. And the person calls me and says, oh, I want to stop my standing order. So I said, oh, why? And he said, oh, this last month I had to borrow money from somebody because I had to put so much into my investment fund. So I asked him, I said, what did you have to put there? So much so that now you even want to stop investing in the first place. Why? He says, oh, even what I've put there, I want to take. So I said, no. What is informing the decision to come and withdraw? So we had a chat. And it turns out he's developed new tastes. Yes. And so he's carrying costs that he originally didn't carry. And he doesn't have a way of funding that cost. And so his least line of resistance is to say, okay, then let me stop this investment so that I can channel the money here.
What happens when the
and that's
investment
dangerous.
is gone and your tastes have increased?
That's it. It means that before you know it, they're going to come and start taking from their provident funds or from their whatever. And that's how it starts. When you get into that mode, it's hard to hit the pause button. So it's important for you to check your spending. So how often are you hanging out with the guys? Are you hanging out every Friday night? Maybe you want to look at reducing that. Unfortunately, people are very dismissive of the 100 CDs or the 200 CDs they spend every Friday. Now, if you put that 100 CDs, just yesterday, I was speaking to somebody who was doing her national service, and she says, I want to start this. And I said to her, it's a good thing to start because by the time you are in your midlife, when you have other responsibilities, you've built the discipline to do this, and so nothing will deter you. When young people don't invest, it worries me because you're probably living with your parents, and so you're not paying rent. You don't pay utilities. You probably don't have dependents because you don't have children.
You have liberties.
Yes, you have liberties. You're not paying school fees. You're not committed to any financial obligation. It's a good time to start investing. Don't wait until you are in the middle of your career where you're probably building, you have children, you're paying school fees, you're taking care of aged parents. And at that point, there's so much pulling on your finances that it's hard to actually maintain that discipline. But the thing with retirement is that you need the consistency. It's not just enough to take the decision to invest, but you have to be consistent with that decision. Are you doing it regularly, or is it just an ad hoc thing you're doing? When you receive your annual bonus, what do you do with it? If you're channeling it, for example, into your project you're building, and so when you get your bonus or your clothing allowance, you split it.
Dubai.
That's the thing. And unfortunately, we find ourselves in an era where people tend to look at social media and want to live the life they see on social media. But they forget that when people take photos, they're probably using filters, and they're making sure that what you see is the polished, the embellished version of themselves.
It's make-believe.
It's make-believe. But you find that people would actually borrow to go on holiday so that they can post on Instagram or on Facebook so that somebody sees that I was there some.
I was in Trafalgar Square.
I know. It's so unnecessary. We need to move away from imposing certain pressures on ourselves because we are watching what people are doing on social media. It is not real life. Your real life is what you're living. Let somebody look at you and want to be like you. But don't look at somebody's situation and give yourself pressure and want to be there because you don't know what the person is doing to get there. You don't know how they're funding their lifestyle. And so it's not okay to just look at it and want to do it. I like to speak to ladies sometimes. Some ladies spend a lot. So they're buying too many shoes they are not wearing. Or they're investing in hair they're not wearing. Or the guys are spending money buying drinks or having hangouts, having barbecues and stuff. Yes, it's good to have a good time. It's good to de-stress. We're just saying that everything in moderation. Everything in moderation because retirement is coming.
On and on and on and on. But
exactly.
I want us to get interactive. I've got a few questions on social media right now. I've got Matthew. Matthew says, hello. I would like to know if retirement with SNIT is the best retirement plan. Do you think they are managing our funds well? Hey, Matthew, the second part of your question. Who answered the first one?
Yes.
It says, do you think that retiring with SNIT is the best option?
Okay.
This is Matthew. You didn't add your surname and where you are.
So, hello, Matthew. First of all, so SNIT is there to provide you a monthly pension when you go on retirement. Now, the thing with having SNIT is that people tend to feel like, because I have SNIT, it's enough. Unfortunately, you need a backup. You need other sources of income to support what SNIT provides for you.
So it's great, but it's not the only one.
But it shouldn't be the only one.
Great.
You should have other sources of income that can augment what you receive from SNIT. So if you're in formal employment and you have a tier 2 scheme, for example, that's a lump sum that you will receive, which you'll need to work with. And then if you have private investments or individual investments, you can do that as well. But yeah, I'd like to mention something quickly. We also meet people who are not in formal employment. So you meet people who are entrepreneurs, you meet people who work for themselves, and they don't necessarily contribute to any structured retirement plan. Now, we advise that if you work for yourself or you're an entrepreneur, you're working, you do jobs as and when they come by, we advise that at the end of every year, if you're a business, when you make profits, allocate a portion of that profit to an investment fund to prepare for your retirement.
Put money away regardless.
Put money away regardless.
Okay.
So if you're not in formal employment, if you're in private practice, you work in a job that doesn't give you regular income, but you get income as and when you work, just make time to put money away.
This is Sarafina. Says, I am an engineer. How do I transition into a consulting role during my retirement?
Okay. So if you're an engineer, whatever you're doing now is virtually what you would look at doing once you retire. So in whatever field of engineering you are in, when you retire, you want to be able to find gaps. So you're working now, and so you're in a good place to identify the gaps that companies that you are in your industry have.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll just add that, McLean, I mean, the question that was asked, begin to find out about how consultants in your industry are doing it. Begin to find out now, like we said, so that you don't wait till you're done, so that the transition will be seamless because you'd have started doing it before. So the object is not to do it during your retirement, it's to start consulting now, and then finally when you retire, the transition will be seamless.
So I'd like to just add quickly,
Yes.
there are some chartered accountants I know, right, who work in normal formal employment, but they do, they run books for small businesses who can't afford to have like a stated chartered accountant or an accounting firm doing their financials. And so if you're a chartered accountant and already you are doing that for small businesses, by the time you retire, you would have built a network of companies or institutions like that that you can assist. And you do it at your pace. You know, and so that's a good way to transition.
To start.
Yeah.
I've got McLean Agri. McLean says, regarding the investment portfolios explained, is it a mutual fund? I think the ones you mentioned earlier.
Okay, so a mutual fund is one of the investment instruments that you can put your retirement or your savings into. So there are a number of investment instruments that are available to you as an investor. Excuse me, there are bonds, there are treasury bills, there are fixed deposits, there are equities or stocks, there are quasi-government investments that you can do. And so there's a broad spectrum when it comes to what you can invest in. But yes, you can invest in mutual funds as well.
And when they get in touch, we'll share more information.
And when you get in touch, yes, please get in touch. Go to www.CalAssetManagement.net or leave a comment on any of our social media handles, and we'll be glad to reach out.
Anita, okay, this one doesn't come with it. It says, hello, Anita, do you have a calculator or computation that will include inflation and depreciation?
Yes, and so the future values that we calculate are based on variables like inflation, CD depreciation, and all the other factors that will affect your retirement benefits at the point of retirement. And so what's the person's name again?
They didn't say.
They didn't say. Please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be glad to, based on your objectives and how much you're looking at putting away on a monthly basis, we'll be glad to assist you to at least give you a projected amount you should be looking at if you are consistent with your investments until retirement.
If you're watching us, we'd like to know that you're watching us, so just say hi, mention your name of your company, send us a chat in the chat boxes on Zoom, on Facebook, on Twitter. If you haven't asked your question yet, please ask the question. We'll be happy to answer them for you. This one is from Samuel Sapon. Okay, so I'm going to ask this question, and then our production crew will do the computation and come back to us. So I'll ask this question, and I'll go on to the next question. It says,
yes, sure.
Is this the Tier 3 pension plan? That's how the question starts. Let's say I pay a premium of 100 cedis per month for 30 years. How much will the investment yield, and how is the interest compounded? We need some kind of overview on how your pension plan works. I'll take it again because I know the production crew is writing this down, and they'll do the computation for me off camera. It says, let's say I pay a premium of 100 cedis per month for 30 years. How much will the investment yield, and how is the interest compounded? We need some kind of overview on how your pension plan works. This is from Samuel Sapo. Samuel, we're going to be doing the computations and come back to you before the end of the show with the answer to that question.
Right.
This one is from Andrew Maunyo. It says, what's the guaranteed applicable interest rate? What's the guaranteed applicable interest rate for the investment?
So unfortunately, as fund managers, we are not permitted by the Securities and Exchange Commission to guarantee rates. And so we usually would work on a number of assumptions. Would like to, in addition, as part of the calculation, estimate a certain average rate that we assume will prevail during the life of your investment. And so that is what we'll use in the projections or the calculations that will generate the future values that you should be expecting.
Okay, I've got this one. It didn't come with a name. Please add your names when you send those questions to us. We'd like to acknowledge you and mention your name. And we'd like to say thank you to you also for watching us. So please do add your name. It says, hi, how do you manage the demands of extended family commitments, contributions for funerals, weddings, projects in the village, taking care of the sick and needy, while planning for retirement?
Sorry, can you take the question again?
Okay, so how do you manage the demands of the extended family commitments while planning for retirement? And the commitments into brackets are contributions for funerals, weddings, taking care of the sick, the needy,
right. Okay.
village projects. How do you do all of that while planning for retirement?
It's important that you have a budget, okay? If you don't have a budget today, please just reach out to us or go on the internet, search for a personal budget, Google a search, or search for a personal budget, and try and keep a budget. Now, what the budget enables you to do is to have limits when it comes to your financial commitments, especially for the stuff that are not immediately necessary. And so there are those who like to go to funerals every weekend. And it's not just the going to the funeral, it's the fuel you're using to go to the funeral. It's the attire you're wearing, whether you're sewing it or it's something you already have. It's a funeral donation you're making. Maybe there's a project in the village and you've been asked to contribute towards it. Or somebody is sick and so they fall on you and say, oh, call Yaw because Yaw works in a bank. And so he's able to support us or to provide us with some money to take care of whatever need it is that we have. Have a budget. Now, make sure that in that budget, you are allocating a certain portion of your income to these kinds of needs. Now, depending on your situation, that amount could be more or less. And so I have a friend here who always says that when you pray that you are not the only successful person in your family. Because when you're not, the financial demands on you are less, right? Yeah. Because everybody is financially sound. And so when they have a problem, everybody takes care of their own problems. Have a budget and tell yourself that every month, I'm going to use 200 CDs to support external family issues. Or I'm going to use 500 CDs to support external family issues. And stick to that budget. You don't have to satisfy everybody. And so, depending on what the needs are, you may have to decide on who to support at every point in time. Don't put pressure on yourself because at the end of the day, it's your retirement at the end of your work life that is important. Okay, there's a question here. It says, can I do my retirement investment in dollars? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. We run some investments for clients in dollars. And so please reach out again to CalAsset Management. Go to our website, www.calassetmanagement.net. Our contact details are there. Or send us a quick message on any of our social media handles. And we'll reach out to you and we'll get talking. Okay. There's so many questions. I'm just trying to, I think we're running out of time, so we just want to do already? Just one more question. It says, how much money do I need when I retire? Okay, right. So let's keep it short. Let's keep the answer short. How much are you earning now? That's the first question. So if you're earning 10,000, you need to be able to have an income replacement ratio of between 70 to 80%, depending on your circumstance. So if you're earning 10,000, you may want to look at earning something around 8,000 on a monthly basis when you retire. And put 2,000 away. Are you saving enough so that by the time you retire, you're able to earn a pension of what you're earning now when you retire? So no matter what you're earning, we're saying we're looking at putting away about 20% and then, try and live on about 80% or 70%, regardless of what you're earning. Nothing is too small. Just remind us again that there are a few services that the CalAsset Management Company also offers. If you're looking for support or service in pensions, fund management, they're able to help. For end-of-service benefit schemes, they're also able to help. Staff provident funds, who's managing your staff provident funds, who's managing all of that for you in your company. CalAsset Management are able to help. They're also able to offer services in customized high net worth individual accounts. Someone was asking, can I have my investment in dollars? Please, we can manage that one for you very, very well. Staff welfare schemes, we can also do that here at CalAsset Management. Institutional investment management. The company wants to put some money away and invest in some equity somewhere. CalAsset Management is able to help you to do that. And leave savings plan schemes, they're also able to do that as well. If you want to reach them today, you can call Anita on 026-751-6024. That's 026-751-6024. You can also reach out to Edmond on 026-751-6020, or you can call Wellington on 0272-112-222.
25. You can send them an email today on Asset Management. That's ASSETMGT. Asset Management, ASSETMGT at CalBank.net, and they will be more than happy to help you. Anita, if we remember nothing from today's conversation at all, what should we take away?
Retirement is not far away. And so plan, invest, invest, invest. Don't think that you're putting it off to next year. Oh, I'll start next year. Tomorrow never comes. And so start today. If you're already doing some investment, reach out to us. Let's find out if you're putting away enough to support you when you retire. So yes, start today. Thank you.
Start today. We cannot hash that point any further. This has been an exciting conversation, but like all good things, this one has also come to an end. This has been the 7th edition of the CalBank webinar series, coming to you from the CalBank head office here at number 23 Independence Avenue at Ridge. We're excited to have spent time with you. We hope that this information will help you to become a better person, to start planning, and to buy yourself that peace of mind which is required for your retirement. We'll come your way again another time with another exciting conversation. Until we do that, this has been the 7th edition of the CalBank webinar series. What we ask is that you stay safe and oblige all the COVID-19 protocols and stay alive for us and stay connected to CalBank. And remember that we can only move forward together. Thank you for watching, and see you same time another time.
Dear Board of Directors, CEOs, and industry. Yes, all of industry should get this. In today's ever-growing marketplace, expansion and progress must certainly be on your mind. It is on ours too, because we look forward to grow with you. We are able to get as much financing as your corporate projects need and to see to their successful completion in the best possible timing. How?
It's a new day.
Well, we are responsible. We do business the right way, with regard for sound financial, social, and ethical practices.
You never imagined.
We are effective, knowledgeable, and even more so with each new experience wielding expertise built from decades of facilitating the financing of the grandest of projects with exceptional dedication. We are decisive, not just because we take good decisions, but because we make sound decisions based on risk, local market knowledge, opportunity, and timing. In fact, there are several projects we have facilitated in the energy, real estate, education, power, and manufacturing sectors, to be modest. Surely your project is next. Contact us today so that we can move forward together. It is possible. Best regards, CalBank.
Forward together.